Listen only mode.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's the best time of the month, according to my ISR Jackie. It's time for call camp, engaging the end user. And, this one is going to be all about Lauren Bailey. She's going to be running it. Before we get into that, now, this is your show, Lauren. You know it.
This is like my favorite time of the year now, right? It really gets to be all about me for the next whole hour.
All about you. It's all about you.
Woo!
So, quick shout out to David Delaney and what he's doing there with the Sales Development Conference. They've got something going on that you should check out if you're not aware of it. So check out Sales Dev 18 and Tenbound. They're doing it in the Ritz in San Francisco in August. So you should be aware of that. If you know anybody in sales development or top of funnel, check out that event. Someone who needs no introduction, Lauren Bailey, president of Factor 8. Funny backstory here is that Lauren and I used to compete tooth and nail, like, rabid dogs trying to get each other's business. And
I like to think of myself as an innocent puppy.
yeah, right. And she's had a lot of success in her business and grown it to, what do you have now, like 6 or 7 or 8 consultants, something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
It's awesome. So Factor 8 consultants, multiple time inside sales training provider of the year awards there, multiple time AISP top 25, and just incredibly well respected person in the community, in the inside sales community and beyond. So we're really happy to have Lauren here. So everyone, call camp is more fun if you're engaged, and the topic is engagement. So we're trying to engage you. Get on Twitter or jump on the comments here within the GoToWebinar platform. If you go type in a comment, the thing is, we actually hear you over here at Call Camp, and we'll answer your question. And if you have a statement, we will generally say your statement, unless we're just so bombarded with so many statements we can't say them all. So please engage with us. Type something into that little box. Cool. With that, our focus for this call, engaging the end user. I don't think
Look
we
at
can.
that.
The word engaging a whole lot more. So Lauren, how did this topic come about? I know nothing about what you're going to talk about.
All right, cool. This is going to be fun then. So I think that this topic came about 3 years ago when SDRs really started to sort of cross the chasm, right? They're getting to a more commonplace. It's not early adoption anymore. So that first call, the business development, let me generate some interest and get you to sign up for a demo or get qualified, whatever the action may be. And what happened somewhere along the way is that we sort of forgot to be human. And SDRs started reading scripts, and people forgot how to have conversations. So we were literally on the floor with the client working through role plays, and it just sounded like we landed in the middle of Robot Town. And I was like, how do we fix this? How do we actually start teaching new sellers the difference between what they think is normal and what sales could and should be? Does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah, I've heard a lot. Actually, I tell you a funny story. I got a phone call maybe 2 years ago now, so it was a while ago, and it was someone who called me, Lauren, and this person said, "Hi, are you the person who makes decisions about business software?" I said, "Well, I'm one of the owners of the business, so I guess so."
Maybe, yeah.
Right? And then they said, "Do you have a budget for business software in the next 12 months?" And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, yes, we have budget, but like I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay,
Right.
great. What's your time frame for making? So they literally asked me BANT in order.
Yes, and that was their idea of getting you to talk to them in a conversation. Have you ever had this one where you call up and there are 2 or 3 questions and you're like, are you an actual person? Or wait a minute, stop. Wait, are you? Can you stop? If you can hear me, stop reading. Are you a person? Right? And by the way, I think it's timely because AI is a big thing coming out, right? Let's try to automate it. And I think this is me like passionately beating the drum in the different direction.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great topic. So, teach us. What do we need to know?
Yeah, well, let's just have a conversation about this shock and awe, right? But what are the telltale signs of engagement during a conversation? Like if somebody calls you, and the example you just gave was awful. They asked me 5 questions and they were all BANT, and you're confused and a little pissed off by question 3. what were the signs you were giving them that it wasn't going well?
Yeah, tone of voice, the long pauses and trying to figure out what the context was. I think the lack of context is what really threw me off in that particular case. I can tell you what I wasn't is I wasn't doing like the verbal nod. I wasn't nodding my head. I was understanding, where they're coming from.
Yes.
The perspective, all of that was absent.
Yes. Okay. So, and it's harder in phone sales, this place where we live in digital selling, right? Video makes it a little easier because you can just see the pissed off and confused look on my face. Like, huh? Are you kidding me? I've got like eye squint, nose sneer, open mouth shock at your stupidity. That you can pretty much detect. But it's harder to hear that over the phone. So we've got to talk about that and what are the signs of engagement. So I love how you said the verbal head nod. So that's active listening or catching what somebody is saying, like, yeah, good, How about if they're asking questions? You can tell they're engaged if they're making it a two-way conversation.
Yeah,
but I think that, go ahead.
This was questions that was just pure script. I mean, they were not, was not asking a question in a curious way of another human. It was just reading what was on the piece of paper.
It was totally, which means on the other end, if you're lucky, you're getting ahas or grunts, right? Versus that active listening. So I like to think of engagement as this, think of it as a meter, right? Like from left to right, you've got a 1 to a 4, and then there's this secret level 5. And at the 1, the red, they're ready to totally hang up on you. And it happens to us, right? By question 3, you're like, okay, shut up. I'm not going to tell you about my need and time frame. But on the flip side, there's the people who are interrupting you asking buying questions. And I want to paint that picture really clearly for people because that's the goal, folks. Like, it's not just not getting hung up on. We've lowered our expectations as buyers and as sellers, and it's time to stop the madness. So here's some best practices. Thanks for changing the slide. The first thing you can do at the very beginning is try to perk the customer's ear. Why? Because they didn't mean to answer your call, they certainly weren't waiting for it, and they're not listening to you. Is that fair, do you think, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
Right? You're totally doing email right now. Anybody who calls me and it's a sales call, I'm in the middle of something else, count on it. So your number one goal is to deliver some sort of an introduction that's a pattern interrupt or an ear perk that gets me to look up for a second from my email and actually listen to what you're saying to me. Yeah. And then the second thing is to get a question out so you get me talking, because you know what? I can't type my email and talk to you at the same time. And then the third thing is now make it a back and forth conversation. Get me to actually engage.
Yeah.
So that's how you do it at the beginning. But I love bullet 2 is asking them this end state, like paint a picture. Really be curious and get to know what they're doing and how they're doing it and help them see what it could look like. And sometimes that's customer reference stories. Sometimes those are just really good custom questions. But we have to be better at it than our friends do in the field who get to do a great presentation and see everything and paint actual pictures. And then finally, leading with value. Folks, when you call somebody up and you ask the 5 things that you need to know, you've lost, right? Steve just told the story with Bant. It's not about what's in it for you. It's about what's in it for them. So think about what's valuable to them. And let me promise you that calling up and leading with your very bored pitch and qualification questions will not engage an end user, right? That is not valuable for them. So we got to switch it around a little bit.
Yeah. So hey, Lauren, let me jump on that. I'll give you a little, just the audience, a quick tip that I learned along the way. I can't cite this for attribution, who or where, but I think this works really well. So a lot of you are probably thinking, but yeah, I have like my simple questions that I need to get answers for. Yeah. So what I recommend you do is just ask if it's okay. So say, hey, Lauren, do you mind if I ask you a couple of really quick questions? These are like 1 or 2 word answer things, just so I can have a little bit more context so I can steer the conversation in the right direction.
Oh, I love how you did that. So first of all, I could tell that you were a human. You used my name.
Yeah.
You didn't say, may I ask you a few short questions? It wasn't scripted. You used real language, and you get like the, hey, 1 or 2 word answer kind of things. That's the way you talk to a friend. Yeah. So if you're reading a script, chances are someone in marketing wrote it, and you should throw it away immediately. Sorry, marketing. It's not because it isn't great stuff, but it's copy. It's great for a website. It has nothing to do with how we would have a conversation. So if your buddy was on the other end of the phone, how would you ask them
Yeah.
that question, right? All right.
Well, I get it. I mean, I'll ask it. What CRM are you on? What dialer? What screen sharing? I got to ask all these basic questions. How big is your team? When I'm selling ExecVision, and they, once they say sure, no problem, shoot, fire away, you can usually get through 90 seconds to 2 minutes, and then you can get to the stuff that matters, right?
Yes, you absolutely can. And as long as you qualify it up front, right? And as long as you get their interest ahead of time. If you led with, hello, my name is Steve Richard, I'm calling from ExecVision. Do you mind if I ask you a few short questions to learn about your situation? They'd be like, F off, Steve Richard. I don't care who you are. But that's the beauty of you. Like, everyone loves Steve Richard. Why is that? Because you're engaging.
Yeah.
You're interesting. You remember people's names. You want to be in conversations. You show examples of things. It's fun to be around you.
I think it's how you say it too, and that was a perfect illustration. You could hear those same exact words that you just said a different way, and that would be the most engaging thing in the world. So anyway, what do we watch out for?
Yeah, you're right. So all right, let's talk to the managers for a second. Do your reps need help with engage? Here's how you know. Number one, they're using a script. Go tear it up. Number two, are they doing most of the talking? So that's so helpful when you're using a tool like ExecVision that you can just see what's going on. If they've got the super long intro, if they've got the hi, this is my value prop intro, and if you hear them doing a lot of telling and not a lot of questioning, those are 5 very quick, very easy signs that it's time to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with your robot named rep.
We see the in terms of the talk versus listen, we see the waveform where we call it the bulldozer or the wall of sound. Be real careful. As soon as you see like an uninterrupted wall of sound for some period of time, that's bad.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good to focus on. So some questions you can ask, right? The first thing is, how can you tell what the level of engagement was? And we've talked about some of those cues, and I'm going to give you a little cheat sheet here at the end. But here's some good coaching questions. If you're a manager or even reps when you're coaching each other, say, what was the focus of that call? What was the goal of the call? What do you think the customer, the prospect, views you as? How engaged do you think they were? And if you get people to just start listening for it and rating, here's where I felt their engagement was, you're going to watch engagement go up. Just making this a focus, helping show people there is another way, makes a huge difference.
Amen. Very good.
All right, so here's the cheat sheet. Here's the engage-o-meter, folks. So at the red, at the left side, if someone's going to give you a 1, it's pretty obvious because there is silence. They're not listening, and they either hang up or cannot wait. As soon as you stop talking, then they'll hang up. And we've all had those happen to us, and we've all heard that happen on the floor around us. So if you're making it all the way to a 2, you're getting basic responses. This is someone who is answering you while they're multitasking. This is you, Steve, giving out the answers to the band. But you don't want to be there. You're not really listening. You don't remember what the rep's name is. You have no idea what it is they're selling. You just are waiting for a decent enough pause and to finish the end of this email so that you can get off the phone.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So I think, honestly, that's probably about 50% of the BDR calls that I listen to. So now we're getting into the yellow. This is a 3. We're at the top, straight up in the middle of this engage-o-meter. And that's when you're getting some decent verbal cues. There's some active listening happening like you talked about before. Uh-huhs and yes, maybe even a follow-up question or 2. They're basically, they're not multitasking anymore. If you were sitting together, they'd be looking at you in the face and be like, tell me more. If it were a date, they'd be like leaning on their hands over the pizza listening to you, but not reaching for you under the table yet. Oh, that sounded dirty. I didn't mean it that way. Not reaching for your hand over the table. You're probably not getting a kiss goodnight. All right, let's go to number 4. At 4, you're getting them to do most of the talking, and they're sharing good information. They have lots of questions. There's actual verbal buying signs happening here. It's a productive conversation. You can tell that they're trusting you. Like, it's not a matter of if you're going to get this guy closed. It's a when. This is going really, really well. And for most people, this is the peak. Like, this is the ultimate goal. And it's like a good shot in golf. When you get one of these, you're like, yeah, That's what I was going for. You get maybe one a day if you're having a really good day, right? So Steve, you run teams for ages. What percentage of especially BDR, SDR calls do you hear that you're like, yeah, that was
Yeah.
a 4?
Yeah, no, it's low. It's 5 or 10%. And when it all clicks, you want to celebrate the hell out of it and replicate it.
As much as you can, which is why call recording is so important, because you got to hear it. You got to know what you're shooting for. And that's why I want to talk to you about secret level 5, because there is a level that goes even above that. What happens if this person is like leaning out of their seat? What do? Like, I cannot even wait for this call. So let's start again with BDR, SDR. When somebody is so jacked up, they're so excited, what might they do when they hang up the phone?
They might call somebody else in the company and ask, hey, what do
Boom.
you know about the company, right?
Yeah, they're going to start researching you online with their buddies, with their network, with their friends. Awesome. Any other ideas?
Yeah, they're probably gonna, in some cases they'll actually proactively like connect with you on LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
Which
Total
is,
sign.
when you see a buyer that connects with you on LinkedIn instead of the other way around, that's a really good thing. Yeah. What do you?
Yeah, I love those. I think they would probably invite other people to the call.
Yeah.
Right? They're putting it on the calendar before you even put it on the calendar.
Yeah, they send you a calendar invite. That's right. Yeah.
Right? They forward that to other people. They follow up with you for additional information or questions. Like, they're pumped about this. This is a good stuff. It happens also in our regular calls. So if let's say you're an account manager, okay, and you've had relationships with people for a while, that means they're pretty good, right? You're probably at a yellow or a green, you're at a 3 or a 4 all the time. They trust you, they're listening to you, you have good back and forth. But think about secret level 5 for a second. When they really heart you, what do? Like, these are, I can't wait to go give you testimonials kind of people. These are, I proactively send referrals your way kind of people. This is, let me put your logo on my website as a partner kind of people. Let's figure out how we do more together kind of people. And that's possible. So something completely unrelated. Let's talk about B2C. I'm very grateful you're a USAA customer. Thank you to everybody out there for their service who's lucky enough to be a USAA customer as well. I, honest to God, call them twice a year and ask them what else they sell. Like, is there anything else I can buy from you? Right? It's that sort of delighted with the service, with the sales, with the product, with the entire experience. And we need to shoot for that. These are people that are coming up and out of their chairs, excited to talk to you and do more business with you. That's the goal.
It's great. I'm actually reminded of we're doing this series where we do what we call sales coach camp. So it's kind of like our call camp that we're doing here, except it's done in person and it's done specifically for managers, and we teach some best practices of coaching. And one of the things that we're able to do very fortunately is we have happy clients in NFL cities in the United States, and did one in Utah, did one in Atlanta last week, doing one in Austin, Texas coming up fairly soon, in LA, and a city near you, where our clients will have our prospects into their office, and in many cases they even buy the food and drink. So they're not doing that unless they're at that level 5.
They're raving fans. They're raving fans, and that's something that's built over time. They trust you. They want to be a part of what you're doing. They have a long history of a great relationship with you, Steve, right? And the rest of your team. But guys, we can get that in our first call, our second call, our third call. And we do it by getting up and out of the robot and being human beings on these calls and just connecting to them person to person, some emotion sometimes. It's okay.
Great.
All right, so how do we get them to engage? Are we ready to listen to some? Is that what's next?
Yeah, let's go do it.
Yeah, we've already talked about secret level 5. Let's do this.
Let's get out of here. Okay, hang on. I got to make sure I'm doing this the right way. Otherwise, Sam, my marketer here, she is nice enough to loan me her Mac because my PC was having problems with the audio. So let me see if I can use a Mac, Lauren. That's going to be the big question.
Hey, better you than me.
Yeah. All right, you want to start with,
awful.
Where do you want to go here?
Let's do the second one that I've already clued as a thumbs down.
No,
so, right?
No subtlety here.
Exactly. The whole thing's a minute and a half long. It's an obvious BDR call. And I've already highlighted some areas where it's like painful, my ears are bleeding, we have no engagement.
All right, and with all due respect to whoever it was who made this call, hey, we're in the tree of trust here at Call Camp, and if this is your call, please take this with it's a learning opportunity for all right,
Right.
and hey guys, I'm going to play this call out, so let's just play this thing all the way through because it's so fast.
And Steve, let me tell you real quick that I did already edit out some names to protect the innocent. Okay, so you might hear a skip or two, but you won't get this guy's name and number so that you can call him up and laugh at him.
Yeah, and that's what you're seeing here with that dotted line. That means there's a little silence there. All right, so we're going to play it at regular speed. We're not going to play it fast, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And everyone, if you're having trouble with the volume, do a favor. Go in your chat and go to webinar and let us know, because I got the Volume Booster app thanks to Sam. She takes some tail. She found this really cool Chrome extension called Volume Booster, which I recommend you all download. It's free. So if you can't hear, let me know.
Hey, this is Chris with Mark. Yes. Hey, Mark. I was just calling to try to connect you to our local engineer to go over some of our new solutions and how we can help you out in the future. Are you responsible for the fiber cabling?
Yes, I am. Some of it.
Right on. So basically, our local engineer just likes to come in and go over some of the new technology, so that way in the future, whenever you guys have to do anything with fiber related, you guys are familiar with it. Have you guys met the local engineer, Carol Cannon, before?
From which company?
Fiber optic.
I can't recall if we have or not, to be honest with you. I don't recall the name.
Right. Well, she's been in the area for maybe like a year or two now, but she'd love to come by sometime at the first of the year and just introduce herself and go over some of the new technology. Would that be a benefit to you guys?
It might be. I'll ask the engineer when he comes back from Christmas break.
Okay. So do you want me to send you an email, maybe follow up with you at the first of the year?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Well, we'll do that, Mark, and I'll send you an email. What is your email address?
.edu.
Right. Okay, cool. Well, I'll send you an email here today, and then I'll follow up with you at the first.
No, that comment cracks me up. Sounds like a plan. It's about the same level of planning excitement as a scheduling the dentist. That's great. Lauren. Oh, do we lose her? I think we lost Lauren.
No, it's good. I was just muting in the background because I was laughing at this poor guy. Like, he was super excited, wasn't he? He couldn't wait.
Yeah. I mean, it was just sort of that classic, like, hi, I'm calling, I'm the like, it's not even the executive assistant. It's like, I'm the secretary to my account executive, and they're wondering if they can stop by. It's just
right. Frankly, I think it sounds more like I work in the accounting department and I lost a bet and somebody made me make outbound calls. But like, no part of me ever wanted to be in sales, nor should I. So can everybody send chats? I would be really interested in hearing. Is this a level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Like, if you can chat in a number, does that come through?
5. I'm going to take you out to lunch at some point and try to find out why you thought this was a 5. I'll be very curious to hear. Yeah.
If they think it's a 5, they actually live in a very dark hole. So I don't think you're going to get them to come out to lunch with you.
With AI or something, but yeah, go into the chat. And people are putting in their numbers. All right, Sam, what are we seeing here?
We've got 3 level 1s, 2 level 2s. Somebody said a -1.
Yeah, loving you. Yep. This guy woke up bored, didn't he? Hello.
They are. I mean,
it's like if Eeyore got a headset.
It's also cabling, and he's mirroring a little bit. I'm going to defend the guy a little bit, but at the same time, it is. Yeah, you're not hearing any engagement here whatsoever.
We're not. So the guy actually stayed on the phone, which was really nice, I think, with him. And he did say that, yeah, go ahead, set it up after the first of the year, and yeah, I'll maybe take that meeting. But I think that if you were to ask him a minute later what the meeting was he agreed to, what it was about, what could be in it for him, when it was going to happen, the name of the company, or the name of the rep, you'd come up with a goose egg. Do you think that's harsh?
No, there's no way that meeting happens. There's absolutely no way that meeting happens. Now, this is very important, because one of the things that our community, that the Call Camp audience has requested is they said, hey, sometimes you guys play these just stellar call after stellar call, what you would consider 4s and 5s. And, you know, we want to hear, like, what are some bad calls sound like? So this is directly as a result of your feedback. You said, we want to hear something where it didn't go well. It's very important that we note here that, and we see this with most of our clients, they have started creating like a call library for train wreck calls, because you have to celebrate the failures on some level as well. You have to create an environment where people feel safe to fail. And I think we can all admit that this one's not a successful call. This is not the model of good of what we're going for.
You know, I gotta tell you too, Steve, thanks for saying that. We do need train wrecks, but here's the most important thing to take away from this. This was counted as a win. The guy said yes, right? You and I and everybody listening knows that nobody showed up for this meeting. It didn't go, like, if they had tried to book it right then, it would have been a no-show. I think we can agree on that. Yeah. But it was counted as a win. So we have to use a little bit of the, I don't know, is it right brain, left brain? I'm going to call it the engage brain. It's the common sense. If this were a date, right, did he run away in the middle of the date when he said he was going to the bathroom? So it's important to gauge the engagement. If you got a yes, but they weren't over a level, a 3 or above on engage, it's a no-show. So that might be a really interesting kind of metric, a qualitative metric to bring out as a manager and for yourselves and your teammates over the next couple weeks, and see what happens to your show rate, see what happens to the callback rate, etc.
Yeah, this is stuff that doesn't show up in the metrics. You know, I just scored this real quick. I think you'll probably agree with these. This is just a scorecard that we use internally, and you know, you're just not seeing any sort of engagement on it. It's yeah, we've got to add that to our scorecards, right? It's this secret metric that's becoming important in the last couple years, and it makes all the difference. This was technically a yes, right? But in the engage world, it was a hard no. All right, you want Shannon or you want the top call?
You know what? Let's do your dealer's choice.
Let's go Shannon just to mix up the voice.
Yeah, good.
All right, what do we need to know about this?
Well, there's a lot of green going on here. I love that. Let's hear how she does it.
All right. And I'm gonna selectively do some forward 30 and some 1.5x just to get us through a little faster.
Cool.
Hello, it's Martin.
Hey, Martin. This is Shannon from Devonti. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good, thanks. I know I'm probably catching you towards the end of the day here. Do you have a quick second?
Yes.
Awesome. So I actually just spoke with Vincent, who sent me your way as overseeing international security, especially in high-risk areas. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Navanti at all. We actually met with Warren Young a couple months ago. But yeah, I saw that you guys...
unfortunately I'm not.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Yeah, I saw that you guys do work in, 189 countries around the world, and a lot in high-risk areas. And I saw you overseeing that international security. I was curious, a lot of the people in your position that we've been speaking to, when it comes to getting their research into things like socioeconomic and political risk trends in those high-risk areas, are using something like iJet or sending expats over there. I was curious if you guys are in a similar boat or what you guys are doing to kind of gauge that research.
Let's pause it there. Lauren, what are you hearing here?
Well, I love the fact that, by the way, she's got some mouthfuls, right? You can tell she's done a little bit of research. Not so much that she spent all day on LinkedIn, but she used 2 levers right away to perk his ear. And those levers were names, the most powerful levers you can have. Right? I spoke to this person and I spoke to that person. He recognized both of the names. This guy quit typing and started listening. Then she knew very much what he was doing and gave some examples of what other companies were doing and spoke his language, even though socioeconomic is not an easy thing to roll off the tongue. This guy's leaning in. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there it is. So now she works in our shop, Lauren. Come on, you know she's going to be good. So
she's a rock star.
So Shannon's taking advantage of some research we did on second-degree connections, which we all kind of intuitively know is good. When we ran an A/B test on it, We found that if you use the second-degree connections or if you use those names, you're 568% more likely to get the appointment than if you don't.
I love having that number, 568, even on a second-degree connection.
That's correct. So, and the way we tested this, we had the same exact email copy. We did it over email because it was an easier test to do. Although we're going to have that from the conversations from the data here pretty soon.
Yeah.
We just simply changed the subject line to the name of the person that we knew in common. Here's the other one that'll kind of blow your mind, going back to being human. If you simply look at the LinkedIn profile, and we're talking about, it was like our sample size was 1,180 or something like that. It was a big sample size, or 1,800, even bigger, 1,800. If you look at the LinkedIn profile of the person, the buyer, versus if you don't, if you look at the LinkedIn profile, you're 25% more likely to get the meeting than if you don't. You hold every other variable constant. Every other variable is held constant. The only thing that's different is you just look at their damn LinkedIn profile, and they're 25% more likely to say yes to a meeting.
So why do you think that is?
It's all subconscious. You know, it's all happening at an unconscious level where you recognize the ear perk, like you're talking about with the name.
I do it every time too, right? And I don't try to hide it. It's like, hey, I'm actively stalking you on LinkedIn while we talk. Great picture. I see this. I see that. Like, could we please connect as a human first? And I'm surprised that 25% actually seems low to me. And it doesn't mean study the whole damn thing. It just means have it open 20 seconds before you dial, because you're looking at them in the eyes and you can pick up something to connect to. And we expect it these days, right? I mean, when somebody calls you up and they're like, hi, Steve Reichard, they know nothing about you. Doesn't that feel a little shocking to you now?
Hi, Stephen. Right off the bat, I'm thinking it's the IRS or an ex-girl. We got a good question here from Megan. I'm going to ask here. Did she really speak with the original person, or is she name dropping from her research? No. So this is very important. You have to make sure that this is ethical, that you never lie about anything like this. In this case, she absolutely spoke with that person. If you haven't spoken with that person, but you do the name drop, it's actually just as effective. You just simply say, hey, you and I share a common connection in blank. In this individual, the reason I was connecting with you is because, do you know Lauren Bailey? Yeah, Lauren Bailey and I are friends. I saw that you're connected with her on LinkedIn too. So there's ways you can do it, and you absolutely never want to lie.
Never want to lie. And if you did talk to the person, by the way, I'd hype it a little bit more. Hey, I just recently got off the phone with Steve Richard. I spoke to Steve Richard. He asked me to give you a call, which, by the way, is great language since when somebody says, ooh, I think you should call Steve Richard. Right, like code for, hey, I'm not your guy, call Steve Richard. When you call Steve Richard, that other guy asked you to call, because he did. It's like, if you really did just talk with them, you need to make that sound even bigger so that you're really perking their ear. Remember, at the very beginning especially, it's a pattern interrupt. They are programmed to ignore. We got to break through that right away at the beginning, and I think she did a great job of that here.
That's a great point. And then Tom Stearns, I was just up with him in Rhode Island. He asked about what's your take on permission to proceed or permission to continue. I think I've said this on Call Camp in the past, but I want to hear what you have to say on this one, Lauren.
See, listen, I think it goes one of two ways. Tom, I love what you do. I personally am a do not ask for permission person, which I'm that way in my own personality in life, right? I'm going to ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Some people, that makes them really uncomfortable. But I think the way people do it wrong, here's why I lean towards don't ask. We do it wrong too often. I haven't shown any value to you yet, and I'm asking for your time. Well, I will give you money before I give you my time personally. So you haven't earned it yet, right? But if you can get me in 2 or 3 minutes, then let's ask permission for your time. Get me engaged first. So I'm quote unquote looking you in the eye and having a conversation with you, and now I will make a rational decision on continuing or not. My approach otherwise is get them talking as soon as possible, then worry about whether you're going to ask to go forward or not. But I think when you just call up and here's who I am and could we talk for 5 minutes, the answer is no. At the very least, say, did I catch you at a bad time? And so you're getting usually you get a no, right? 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a no to that, which is actually a positive. Oh, it's what you want. What do you think, Steve? Where do you come down on that?
And we measured this many years ago now. I think it's up like as many as 7 years ago when we ran a test. And what we found out is that people giving permission to continue roughly, it was 75 to 82% of the time. It was in that range, depending on how you asked it and who it was. But what we found out was interesting when we ran that test, because we had 5 different people have the same question statements for permission to continue every time, and everyone got a different number. And we found that it was there was something about the combination of the person asking for it and getting it. So where we've come down on it, and actually recently we're starting to see that the pendulum swung a little bit more to, if I say, hey, do you have a quick sec? Which is how I do it, like a quick second, abbreviated. Hey, Steve, do you have a quick sec? That they'll say no a higher percentage of the time than they did before. So it's a very...
Because we do have fewer seconds in our lives, don't we? Everyone is a little bit busier. But what's funny is they'll say no and they'll still talk to you.
That's right too, because you got to give them the context. The key to the whole thing is context. So where we fall in this is what we're calling implied permission to continue. Seems to be the best, and we're running tests on that now. So it's like, hey, Lauren, Steve Richard from ExecVision. I know you're really busy. I'll be brief. The reason for the call, I was sent in your direction by such and such who told me to reach out. Tom Stearns told me to call you. I know that right now you're operating in 189 countries. You hear how it's like implied permission to continue with a little pause, and that to have the best impact on the conversation.
Agree 100%.
Speaking of context, what Shannon did a great job of here is providing the context. So you see her talking, but now we're going to hear what he has to say, and then I'll fast forward through that a bit till Lauren's highlight.
Yeah, I mean, we have a team here of folks who are responsible to conduct and, more importantly, consolidate that type of research. I mean, we are too small to conduct everything as primary research for, as you mentioned, 189 countries that we have. So we have what we call vendors who provide these services to us. And you know, our vendor landscape is a bit compartmentalized. I mean, we contract some very specific information in some cases, and in other cases it's much more general. And then our team is supposed to, in a nutshell, put all that together and make it relevant for the institution.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, a lot of those people we've been speaking to are kind of in a similar situation there, where they're kind of they have some people on the ground and are getting kind of general information, not always super relevant to exactly where they are or specific to their situation.
Right.
So I know you said you're not from.
So this is, you know, Shannon, great comment to herself. Stop saying kind of. You know, she didn't have to say kind of those times. Got engagement here clearly.
Yeah, I mean, he talked for 2 minutes. That guy's engaged.
Is engaged. And then what about her response? What did you hear there?
Well, she said she captured it right. Gotcha. And then she's trying to share a little bit more expertise here. She's basically saying, I'm keeping up with you, right? You said, A, I'm matching, I'm with you, and off she goes a little bit, right? I think we'll see that she's going to talk a little bit here. She's getting just a tiny bit of, hey, here's what I'm offering. But what happens at the end of this is he's interrupting her for questions, which is another amazing sign of engagement. So that's what I love about ExecVision. I can just look at this and say, oh yeah, this went really well.
Yeah, they nice back and forth is about to happen here. So let's hear how this plays out. I just forwarded 30 seconds.
Yep.
To make sure that they are better able to not only get that research into where they might want to expand their offices and their business, but also to monitor where they currently are, and then also, you know, be prepared for emergency situations. So I'm not sure.
Sorry, what I didn't understand the part about the DoD and the State Department. Those are your clients you advise, or you get? Or how do they come into the picture?
Yes, yeah, they're clients.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So yeah, do you have your calendar open?
Yeah, that's so darn good. Okay, why do you
right?
think
Name drop. It's like mic drop, and that got him, didn't it? He was like, whoa, hang on, that perked my ear. Let me ask about that, which is great. And she's going straight in for the close, and she can. This guy's bought in.
There you go. The word that I love that I heard there was calendar. As soon as you hear him go, wait, so you work with them? There wasn't any hesitation. and I dropped a comment on this one. They're a client of ours. Do you have your calendar in front of you?
Yeah, I'm a badass. The DoD comes to me. Let's see if you can open your calendar, buddy.
That's
It was
great.
beautiful. And it continues on beautifully throughout, right? Look at the back and forth. He's got a couple questions while they calendar. This is clearly a 4, right? It nailed it. I had one tip for Shannon at the end of this. Make him a 5. Give him an action item. I mean, when you're really good at this, like Shannon clearly is, right? You have calls that are, 3 and 4 after each other, boom, 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 boom. Start challenging to get them to a 5 by asking them for some level of commitment. He would do whatever she asked at the end of this. Why, yes, I will send you the name of a country, right? That's what she asked. Why doesn't he bring an example of research? Why doesn't she could ask to bring someone else to the call, right? She could automatically sort of get bonus points or extra credit on the next round of calls when somebody's this engaged. Take advantage of it is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense, Steve?
It does, and that's one that I would say it's like less than 0.1% of calls. I mean, I'm spitballing here, but because SDR is such a confidence game, just cold calling in general and prospecting is such a confidence game, like
yes.
You kind of want to get out of Dodge with your ransom money and just be happy.
Yes.
But in this case, it's like you earn this incredible right to get more, to uncover who else is involved in the decision, who would feel left out if they weren't included. Can I get your cell phone number in case we have trouble meeting that day? Let me ask you to do this. Could you go take a look at your current resources that you have and let me know what you have that looks anything like this? Could you start asking around the organization?
Yes.
I love the whole idea of like give them a homework assignment. That's really good.
Give it to them. Bingo. So I think it would be a great exercise for everybody here, and I'm sure that most of your people who are listening to Call Camp are top performers. What if you came up with the asks, right? The extra credit bonus assignments or info for when you get a call at a level 4 or 5, and keep them up on the board. And when you watch somebody having a 4 or a 5, you stand up and point to it. If you're having a 4 or a 5, get on your feet, start walking the rows, go up to the board and ask for the 4 or the 5. Do even like, remember the low rent sales contests from our olden days, Steve, where it was like, get out a marker and put a tally mark on the whiteboard? Who gets somebody to take a homework assignment this week? Let's celebrate that. Who gets over a 3 in engagement? Let's celebrate that. Because what you said is, I can't say it enough, sales is a confidence sport. So let's really get in there and celebrate these. They're not small wins, damn it, they're big wins. When we get someone to engage, it's something to celebrate. And one of the first ways to look for that are calls over about 2.5 minutes, right? Calls over 5 minutes. When you get somebody who asks you more than 3 questions, and when you can score the engage at a 4 or a 5. And that's proof positive when you get them to take a homework assignment.
Observable buyer behavior. Jim Ninavaji at Serious Decisions used to talk about that. Hey, everyone, you're listening to Call Camp, and I tell you what, you're just not going to get this anywhere else. I mean, this is the only place that I've ever heard of that plays real calls like this and gets someone like Lauren Bailey to just, spill the secret. So get yourself aboard, do what she said, write down in a perfect world and an imaginary dream scenario where every call you make is a 5, amazing outcome. Engagement is very high. What are the things that you want to ask for in a dream world? Write them down on that whiteboard. Put them right in front of your sales floor so everyone sees them and they know what those things are, and then go for them. That is gold, 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 gold. All right, what do we got here, Lauren? Last call.
Well, we've got one more. Let's go back up. We listened to Shannon Rocket. You know what? I'm going to go dealer's choice again. I've got another average BDR call, or we can listen to Alex, who also had a great call.
I think let's go hear something in the middle. I mean, hey, let's pull it out. Pull it out, everyone. You guys want average or another rock star call? Chat in the chat box here. I don't have live polling functionality here. I'd have to create a poll in advance on GoToWebinar. It's a little bit of a pain. But we're hearing average. It seems to be.
All right, let's do it.
All right, they want average. They want average. They want average.
That's just what they said to you, right? So I think that's number 1.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, and hold on. You know what? There we go. This is why I got this thing here. Hold on. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, listen, he's a little soft at the beginning.
If you're in a room with some heavy duty speakers, because I know a lot of teams out there do lunch and learns for call camp, just do a favor, please turn down the volume just a hair, just so I can make sure I don't blast you out. All right. And actually, Sam, how do I turn this down? What is it? Command F5, F11. Just push that button. There you go. Okay.
Hey, George. I realize I'm a bit of an interruption. I was hoping for just 30 seconds so I can explain the call.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm obviously, the reason for my call is just to make sure you're getting the very best value out of your phone system for your business. What phone system are you guys currently operating?
Freedom Lord.
Okay. And how long have you guys had that in place?
Gosh, 3 or 4 years, at least.
Alrighty. Okay. So how many lines is it running there?
Extensions or trunks?
Extensions.
Rough guess, maybe 10 or 12.
Okay. So, alright. And if you were just scale that system on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously you've had it for a few years. Where would you rank it? 10 being the best.
Probably a 5.
Okay, hey Lauren, I'm pausing it here because I want you to jump in because I don't even know this either. This is a pure curiosity question on my part. I love the quick Swift intro, and questions to engage. Just tell everybody a little bit about Swift because it's part of your IP there at Factor 8.
Yeah, so what this guy did at the beginning was not here's who I am and what my pitch is and the name of my company or any of that stuff. He said the goal of my call is to just help you get the best value out of your phone system, and then he asked him a question. He didn't ask him an open question. He didn't ask him what keeps him up at night. He asked him a closed question with a rote answer, and that is freaking gold. And he did 3 of them in the row, which means the customer talked about as much as he did in the first 40 seconds of the call. And that is exactly what we're trying to do. So SWIFT stands for so what's in it for them. We've all heard of WIFM, and 90% of the sales calls out there sound like WIFM. Here's what I want to do. Here's who I am. And I call BS. If you can start instead with here's what I hope to do for you, and this guy just used the generic term value, right? Maybe you're going to call up and say that, hey, the purpose of my call is to try to save you money on your phone system. The goal of my call is to help save you time in your phone system search. Whatever it is, it's one of those 1 or 2 quick words that are benefits to business people. I didn't go into detail. I didn't try to do a proof point. I didn't write a freaking case study about it. I used the word value, time, money, right, risk, whatever the value is that you use. It's 1 word or 1 phrase that perks their ear. He quit doing email. He doesn't remember what you said. He just heard value. He just heard time. That's what Swift is about. And the next thing he did was a question, and boom, this guy's engaged. He cannot be doing email right now. He's talking.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Stop, because where you're going is great. But I just want to make sure that everyone, you're going to hear this again. I want you to hear that with the Swift intro, and I want to make sure that it's not lost. And get your pens out and write this down, or type it, or whatever you do. Dictaphone. I don't care what you have. Stuff. Let's listen to it one more time.
For just 30 seconds so I can explain the call.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm obviously, the reason for my call is just to make sure you're getting the very best value out of your phone system for your business.
So there it is. So permission to continue is 30 seconds. What did he say there again?
Yeah, this was pretty cool actually. So, hey, Tom Stearns, permission to continue. It's basically saying, hey, this is Lauren Bailey. I realize I'm a bit of an interruption, or I realize you weren't expecting my call. Could I have 30 quick seconds? Could I have a quick sec to explain the reason for my call? It actually goes better, you guys, if you use a different number or non-round number, right? I listened to this guy, he was from Connect and Sell, and he nailed it every time. Could I have 27 seconds to explain the reason I called? And people are like, well, that's specific, sure. Can't wait to hear what you say. Or they laugh, or they're like, yes, you can, but not 28. And any one of those is a win because they actually talked and they acknowledged you as a human being.
And then he goes, the purpose for my call is to make sure that you get the best value for your business phone system. That's really good stuff. That's how he earns the right to ask the questions. And then he asks all those kind of quick series of short answer or qualification questions, but he's earned the right and he gets away with it because he has high engagement and he doesn't sound like a robot. And
Bingo.
right, yeah.
And they're not BANT questions, right? It's like, And I would ask you, Steve, at ExecVision, hey, how many reps do you guys have on the floor over there now? That's great. Are they inbound or are they outbound?
Yeah.
Wonderful. How long have you been in business? They're just quick answer questions that you can't help but answer. I don't have to think about it. And damn it, I'm accidentally in a conversation now.
And then he goes for the big open-ended question, which is, if, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are they doing? And the guy says, 5. And you can already see where this is going.
Right? It's every rep's dream.
Big old waveform right here where this guy just spills the beans on why it's a 5.
Bingo.
Yeah. Okay, let's just hear this one more time because it's just magic.
I realize I'm a bit of an interruption. I was hoping for just 30 seconds so I can explain the call.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm obviously, the reason for my call is just to make sure you're getting the very best value out of your phone system for your business. What phone system are you guys currently operating?
Free and rolling.
Okay. And how long do you guys have that in place?
That's 3 or 4 years, at least.
Alrighty. Okay. So how many lines do they run in there?
Extensions or trucks?
Extensions.
Rough guess, maybe 10 or 12.
Okay. So if you were to scale that system on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously you've had it for a few years, where would you rank it? 10 being the best.
Probably a 5.
And I hear that a lot. And my job is just as a rep to be able to see if you would be interested in doing some comparison shopping and just looking at some, even if you don't have initiatives in place now, if you do within the next year or so, to see if it's something that could help you out. Would you have any time available? It's just a 5-minute discovery call to take a look at that.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pause it.
Yeah.
So first of all, I have to say, just the fact that you can speed it up to 1.5 or 2x is reason enough to buy ExecVision. Like you just saved every sales manager 8 hours a month. That's awesome.
Well, let's talk about this comparison shopping. It's a good comment.
I thought that was a pretty interesting way to do it, right? So let me tell you something. This guy, he was part of our training, right? We have this recorded because that's our secret sauce at Factor 8. So we teach confidence. We get you on the phones in the middle of the training. We record the calls, right? Using tools like ExecVision and actually coach the calls and make it better. But this guy nailed it on the intro. And then I start to get a little sad and disappointed. He's really lacking confidence. He was like, yeah, sorry, my job as a rep. And let's go. He pitched just a little prematurely. He was having a conversation. When somebody says it's a 5, you ask why, man.
I know, Lauren. I'm like jumping out of my skin over here. It's our CEO, my business partner David Stillman, does coaching sessions.
David.
Stops and goes, "What's the next logical question? What do you want to know?"
Bingo.
If someone is a 5, your brain should go, "Interesting. Why aren't they a 10? Why
Yes.
are they? Why? What that question? Why is just absent."
It's absent, and it's like he was begging for it. And what happens next, by the way, is the guy goes back and tells him why. So this rep was like, oh my God, somebody's talking to me. I better book the meeting. But remember, This is really important, you guys. The goal, if you listen and learn nothing else from the call camp, this is it. As an SDR, your goal is not to book the meeting. Your goal is to get the customer to engage. And if you do, the outcome is a meeting. And if you can wrap your head around that and go into the call with a different goal of getting level 4, level 5 engagement, you won't be able to help but book the meeting. But when you go in it like this guy did, was like, oh, somebody talked to me, I hit a 4, let's book. It shortcut the process. And he gets it in the end anyway, Steve, right? And I don't know if we'll have time to listen to it or not, but not before undercutting himself 5 or 6 times. So his confidence almost killed it.
Yeah, and he's every right to stand on top of what he did in the first 60 seconds of this call. But we're gonna listen.
Oh, and I'm sorry, you made a comment before that whole comparison shop. I think everybody could and should steal that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What a great, or like you're trying to get people to meetings, and we all have different qualifications. But when you're trying to get somebody to a demo and they don't have to have an active need with a budget and they're actively looking right now, and comparison shopping is a great reason to get them there to learn more when they're a little earlier in the buying process.
Very good. One last little snippet, then we're going to wrap it.
An extension itself, or a need for a desk phone. So, how do I access those and also still, supply our needs that we have?
actually.
Right?
Yeah. So like
It hurts.
if someone's spilling the beans about their pain, everyone listening, if someone's telling you this is a problem, this is a pain, you do not say great. You do not say awesome. You don't say, oh, that's good. No, it's not good. The guy just told you why he's in pain. You say, oh, wow, okay, that sounds like it sucks. That sounds like it's really been frustrating for you. Like you gotta, be a human being. If someone says, boy, my back really aches, you don't go, great.
If you're a chiropractor, you can say it quietly in your head, but that's it, right? And that's what this guy's doing. Like, here's the problem with it. I use mobiles. It's a little too expensive. And he's so busy high-fiving himself that he's going to get a meeting that he doesn't sound human again.
Right. And then he talks about features. And I actually just said this at the call camp with Tom Stearns up in Rhode Island that I was at last week. Bob Perkins, the great Bob Perkins, chairman of the AI, he says, keep it in the bag. And that's a reference to the old days of field salespeople with literally they would carry a briefcase and they would have samples or they would have some product or whatever. And the whole idea is don't take out the solution too fast. You have to really spend time on the problem first, and then you can take out the solution later on. But this is a classic case of kind of premature pulling out the solution when it's
He absolutely did. Yeah, and when somebody asks a question like this, and like this guy again is a BDR, I'm sorry, that's been like such a big focus this whole time, but that is your buying signal. When somebody says, listen, the most important thing is this and that, does it blank? You're not supposed to answer that question, man. You're just not. You're like, that is the best question, and I think that it's a number one. Let's get that number one on the agenda when I get my engineer on the phone. It's not time to go into product features. Keep it in the bag. That's how you get them to the appointment. And I know a lot of people who actually won't go into detailed product training with their BDR teams because it's so hard to resist the temptation of answering all the questions. But I got to tell you something. He almost talks himself right out of this appointment at the end because he's trying to answer all of the questions himself.
And by the way, that sales rep, bravo. My hats off to all three of the reps that we had played their calls, especially Shannon and that rep from your client training there, because those were really great calls. I think we learned a lot from them, and that demonstrates what it looks like to get good engagement. So we talked about secret level 5 engagement. Everyone, let's wrap up what we learned. Lauren, what did we learn?
Well, we learned that good engagement sounds like somebody giving you more than one-word answers, having a real-life conversation, asking questions, active listening. And that's what we're going for. And we get it by asking questions, by using real words instead of scripts, by making it sound like we're calling up a buddy from school, not the CEO of blank, blank, blank company. And from you, of course, Steve, I love this. We learned that just opening up their LinkedIn profile and talking to them, boom, that's going to help increase that engagement again. We also learned mark your engagement. Score yourself on every call for all of next month if you can do it. And when you're getting a 4, push for a 5 by giving them homework and getting some of those secret asks that you know are going to make it a great next step.
And everyone, remember, we've got this. I'm going to jump right back, but we've got this stuff available to you, and this is perforated. So Lauren was kind enough to share this in the Factor 8 team. Take advantage of it. Print that sucker out. Take out a pair of scissors. Cut the dotted line font. Stick it up at your desk.
Yeah, score yourself. And remember, the goal of the call isn't the meeting. It's engagement, and the result will be a meeting.
It's amazing. So I'll speak for Lauren on this one. Really, Factor 8 has distinguished themselves as being an excellent training organization specifically for digital sales. Although a lot of field people, let's be honest with ourselves, are really not field sales folks anymore. They're really inside sales or digital sales people that work out of a home office. So I would encourage, if you have a field-based team, if you need help improving that engagement level, those swift intros, and a variety of other topics, check out Factor 8. Lauren, do you have any content piece on your website you want to direct people to?
I don't think we do right now. We're going to let you give out that handout right now. Come check out our training for BDRs, for account reps, for acquisition reps, and for sales managers.
Very good, as well as manager training. They do a great job with manager coach-to-coach sessions. And then ExecVision, a lot of resources available, anything from the sales coaching playbook Call recording laws is a big topic for a lot of people, so there's a 2-page brief you can download there, and many other tools and resources and blogs, so check that out as well. Sam, what do we got for questions here? Anything else?
We are all wrapped up.
We are all wrapped up. No question. All right, you're going to let Lauren and me off the hook that easy? We'll take it.
All day long. Hey, thank you so much for letting me play with this tool. I love it whenever I get my hands on ExecVision and listen to these calls and look at these calls and score them and forward them and annotate them. It's so powerful. If you don't have a call recording tool, folks, you need one. You need one. Run it up the chain. Start fighting with legal now because it's worth it.
All right. Hey, Lauren, thank you so much for your time. Beautiful lesson today. And we'll look forward to next time. Who do we have next time, Sam? What do we have going?
Next month, we are joined by Chris Ortolano from Sales Stack for Stories in Focus.
Ah, storytelling. All right, great.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun one. All right, everyone. Happy selling. Close out your month strong. Take care.
Bye.